Hi, everybody. My name's Hannah. I'm an M4, and Yalda and I both just matched. I just matched into OBGYN at Beaumont Hospital in Royal Oak, so I'll be nearby. Um, but yeah, the Henry Ford program. So the Henry Ford program, I think it's great you guys get to hear about it now. We didn't find out about it until like middle of our M2 year. And as I'm sure you guys have heard nauseum about, that you get a lot of time in the branches your M3, M4 year to just do like all these different kinds of electives and global health rotations if you want to. And so one of the elective options is this program, the Henry Ford program, which is now in its sixth year. And basically, it's a 4-month rotational program where you immerse yourself in living and practicing in downtown Detroit at the Henry Ford Hospital, which is a large hospital system there. There are a couple of rotations that you're required to do. We were required to do like a sub-I, which you don't have to worry about exactly what that means right now, and an ICU month. And then we also did a month rotating around different federally qualified health clinics in the area. And then our fourth month, we got to pick a random elective to do. And we got to like live downtown and just explore this other hospital and really different patient population. And our time unfortunately got cut there a little bit short because of COVID, but we still got to spend like 2.5, 3 months there, which was awesome. And then I'll just speak briefly about why I wanted to do it. I am a Michigan native. I went to U of M for undergrad as well. And so I just wanted to get out of Ann Arbor personally for a little bit of time. It's a great place, but I wanted to explore something. And I'm just super passionate about the patient population in the city of Detroit. Really interesting history there, and really different just medical needs from the population in Ann Arbor, which at U of M is pretty unique. We get a lot of um, interesting cases because we're this major academic center, but I wanted to see more of like the bread and butter of medicine in like an urban center. And so I'm so grateful I got to do that.
Hey everyone, I'm Yalda. I was on the Henry Ford rotation with Hannah. I am not from Michigan. I'm from California, but ventured out here for med school. I'm also an M4, just matched into anesthesia at Cedars. So I'll be going back to California. So I think Hannah covered a lot of similar sentiments as to like why I also picked Henry Ford. One, namely, you have a lot of time to explore other rotations, and you have a lot of time, like with this new curriculum, you have a lot of time to kind of dip your toes into things that you are maybe curious about or not sure that you want to pursue. I have a background in global public health. And so I had a really strong interest in translating a lot of those passions into something more domestic. And so working in Detroit and working with populations that I'm interested in working with in the future was really important to me. I think working in a different hospital setting where necessarily the resources aren't there, working with very different patient population than what you will see in Ann Arbor, it's just like really great exposure. Detroit is an amazing city to like live in. We like Hannah said, one of the required months is rotating through different federally qualified health centers. And like hands down, that was my favorite month of the Henry Ford sequence. I think during medical school, you go through different like standardized patients that you're trained on how to like give them access to resources around their community, whether that's like, you know, if they live in a food desert and if there's limited access to whatever health needs that they might have. But it's like one thing to do that with a standardized patient. It's another thing to do that with a real patient. And I think you have a lot more opportunity to do that there. Hannah, you speak Spanish, right?
I
No.
do not, and that was a very formative experience for me.
Yeah. So one of the FQHCs, the federally qualified health centers, majority of the patients were Spanish speaking. And that was like another opportunity to practice doing medicine in Spanish. And that was something that I was interested in, especially since those are communities that I like want to be working in later. So I think there's a lot of benefit in doing something like this. Not only do you like get to experience a very different health system, patient population, it's just really great exposure to a different side of medicine that I think you learn in like a artificial way in Ann Arbor. So I'm a strong advocate for it. Hannah and I are both here to answer like any questions you guys might have. We both feel really, really grateful and lucky to have been able to do it. We did get cut short with COVID. But even then, like I wouldn't have traded that experience.
I'm curious what you took from that experience in terms of how you think you can apply what you learn to your career, or how you think it shaped what you wanted to do in your career after medical school.
I think for me, it did make me want to work in like an urban population, but also, I don't know, like take the training I've been fortunate to have and disseminate it, and just like definitely like encourage more programs like this where we're mixing people from different bubbles, especially that are like so close by. I think one of the things that just like strikes me about Detroit is that, I mean, it's like a 45-minute drive from Ann Arbor, and it's like a world of a difference. And so definitely just made me want to like push my boundaries in terms of where I see myself practicing. And also just, I mean, on a more broad note, the fact that this program didn't exist 6 years ago and now it does, and it was like one of my favorite parts of medical school, just makes, I mean, I think it's a reflection of like at U of M, how people are like literally creating these crazy innovative things all the time and just making them work, which is awesome, but motivating me to do that as well. Like, why not have these like medical exchange programs, which I felt like I gained so much from.
Yeah, I can touch on that too. I think it's really easy, especially at places like U of M, to get sucked into like an academic bubble and you see medicine practiced in one particular way. I think similar to Hannah, it solidified to me the like type of hospital that I want to work in the future, and like the communities that I want to work in the future. I see the 2 minutes thing, so I want to get to the questions here, but I echo a lot of what Hannah said.
If you could speak to, I mean, you talked about how different Henry Ford was to the Michigan experience and being different cities and different healthcare system, but you'll speak about the difference in mentorship you found there and difference in terms of the doctors that you saw there and how they treated patients that maybe inspired your own medicine, just in a different setting, in a different way than you saw at Michigan and Ann Arbor, sorry.
It's honestly hard for me to comment on it clinically, because I did like very specific rotations there. Like I did my ICU rotation, but because I did it there, I didn't also do an ICU rotation at U of M. So it's hard to compare one-on-one. My overall like impression was just like U of M is like, which this is like a very like broad blanket statement, but like it was like U of M, it's like a lot of the like talking the thought process behind medical decision making, and I felt like at Henry Ford it was more action. I don't know, because they just have, you know, a massive patient load and like a fewer mid-level providers, and so a lot of the times like the physicians, the residents, and the med students are doing a lot more hands-on work in terms of treatment. So that was one thing that stuck out to me.
I'll real quickly say that like I thought it was a lot more hands-on. Like I was on surgery rotation, I was involved in every case. Tools were in my hands. I was doing, you know, a lot more than I was in my surgery rotation here. I think a lot of the like taking management over patients happens during your sub-I, but you were able to do that a lot here, much more, I'd say.
I did just wrap up that just like the bottom line for you guys, like deciding on your medical school right now, is that like U of M supports this kind of program. They want you to have these experiences, and they definitely support like new program formation like this all the time.